Walking every minute, every mile, every second to you. And every time I close my eyes, all I see is you. This isn't just some little game anymore. You hold the cards now, you've changed what has come before. Might we not be happy together? Might we not be good? I could love you like no other if you love me like you promised you would. All the lessons and the challenges I faced within this vessel and everything it takes from me, but it won't be contained by it, won't be tamed by it, no. Might we not be happy together? Might we not be good? I could love you like no other if you love me like you promised. You promised. So please don't hurt me. I'm not as strong as you might think. Take my hand and mean it. Take my heart and mean that too. Might we not be happy together? Might we not be good? I could love you like no other if you love me like you promised. Oh, you promised you would. Oh, you will. Oh, you do. You do. You do.
Little technical glitch. I was muted. So as I was saying, what a great place to start. Might we not be happy together? Might we not be happy together at ALBW? So welcome to this morning's very special ALBW Live for the ALBW update. And we are going to be talking about the wins and wheres of ALBW. But before I get to that, I want to spend a little time talking about how ALBW came to be. We're also going to be talking about what ALBW is going to be. But I really want to take you through parts of this because it has everything to do with what ALBW is. The first question I want to ask you is, what were you doing 2 years ago at this time? What was your life like then? I can tell you what mine was like. I was traveling. I was doing a lot of traveling at that time. Between January and May of that year, I managed to hit the Napa Valley, Washington, D.C., Florida, Boston, Amsterdam to Strasbourg on a river cruise. That was fabulous, by the way. Paris and Portugal. Someplace in the middle of all of that, I managed to watch Gentleman Jack, and I was blown away by Sally Wainwright's series, as I know all of you were. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching me sitting here talking about it, would you? In any case, I was absolutely blown away by that, and I knew that I was heading to London on a business trip, so I decided that I'd like to investigate Halifax. Because one of the things that blew me away the most about this series was this was a real person who lived in a real place, in a real house that had been used on the series. And I wanted to see that. I'm a history freak, so this is not unusual for me. So when I got back to the States from my last trip, I started looking around on the internet to try and find somebody who could take me on a tour through Halifax. That's what I usually do. I use something like Viator or one of those apps. I couldn't find a thing. So I went to Facebook and I found this little group of Gentleman Jack fans. There were about 400 people on that Facebook page at that time. And it was the only Facebook page that was dedicated to Gentleman Jack. By the way, that same Facebook group now has over 10,000 members. And as you all know, there's far more Facebook groups now than there were back then. And we'll mention those in a minute. In any case, I dug in, I put out some calls, I did some Googling, and I wound up, first of all, making the acquaintance of a wonderful person from Halifax who walked me through everything I needed to know as I was over here in the States, a lovely woman named Sarah Bruton. And Sarah, if you're watching, hello and thank you again. I also did finally manage, through a lot of scratching around, to find somebody who could take me on a tour of Halifax for the 2 days I was going to be there. I was only going to do one overnight. And that was David Glover. So I arrived in Halifax, and those 2 days were nothing short of amazing. I know that many of you have made it to Halifax now, and I also know a lot of you have not yet had a chance to be there. And I can tell you that the thing that was the most astounding to me was the energy that I felt in those places, both in Shivden Hall and in the Halifax Minster. I was really overwhelmed by a sense of being part of something, and I really couldn't put words to it at that moment. But when I got back to London, I met up with my wife, who had been also on business in London itself, and I told her that there was going to be an event in Halifax in 3 weeks called Ann Lister Week, and I wanted to go. And God bless Brenda, she signed on, and 3 weeks later, we were back in Halifax. And that trip was absolutely life-changing. And the biggest part of it was the night that we sat in the Minster with Helena and Jill talking about the life of Ann Lister, surrounded by this community of women. The pews were packed. And just as a little aside, this talk with Helena and Jill had originally been scheduled to be at the Book Corner, which, for those of you who haven't been to Halifax, is a wonderful little bookstore at the Peace Hall. It could hold all of 35 people. Those tickets disappeared immediately. They added more. They found another space to go to, added more tickets, still sold out immediately. And that's how they wound up in the Minster. And they still didn't have enough tickets for the people that wanted to get in. So as you can see, Ann Lister was really on the rise at that moment. But sitting in the Minster that night was an exceptionally wonderful experience. I sat there surrounded by these women who I knew had come the same distances that I had. Some of them were locals. All of them were absolutely fixed on what was going on up there. And at the end of that session, when they took questions and answers, I stood up and I made a comment. And my comment was that of all the things that Helena and Jill had brought to us, and Sally as well with her series, the thing that was the most amazing was how it was changing lives, that how the people around me were talking about the new confidence that they had, the different way that they felt about themselves. And all of this came from having watched Gentleman Jack. I walked out of the Minster that night just completely transformed. And all I could think about was how can I make this happen for more people? This became even clearer to me that I needed to do this once I got on the airplane to fly home. Because after spending 3 days in Halifax surrounded by my community, other women like myself who had come there for the same reasons, I was suddenly back in the real world. I skimmed through the 50 movies that were available on the airplane. I couldn't find one that had a single gay woman in it. And I realized where I was and what I was doing. And once again in my life, I decided I needed to do something to change that. So I got home and I started thinking about how I might go about doing this. I reached out to Laura Johansson with the Calderdale Cultural, was the Calderdale Cultural person at that time. They knew that something would happen for Ann Lister's birthday in the following year. They didn't know exactly what. So I asked her if she would mind if I tried to do something myself. And she said, no, that was fine. So I reached out to Jill Liddington, who to my delight agreed, and also agreed to reach out to Helena, who to my delight agreed. And now I had one night. I had one thing going on at the Minster and I was overjoyed. But no one's ever accused me of being a small thinker. So once I'd gotten that one night, I thought, well, who else could I get? I wound up talking to Leanne Mertzman and Mary Schwartz at Shivden After Dark and Amanda Walgrove. They all signed on to come on for another night. And then I thought, well, I really would like to see who else I could get that I know this crowd would like to talk to. So I wrote a very long email to Sally Wainwright. And Sally, if she was watching, would probably be laughing because I always write long emails to Sally Wainwright. And Sally wrote back, as I came to know how Sally worked, just basically saying, sure, I'll do it. And that was it. So now we had 3 nights and we were ready to put together something that would draw people from around the world. Now, what really was exciting for me as this all started to come together were the number of people that reached out to me about wanting to know how they could help. The thing that you need to know about Ann Lister Birthday Week is that it is an all-volunteer organization. No one here is getting paid. And I'd like to take a minute to bring my team on screen right now so that you can meet them. There's Cheryl Mcdonald and Jennifer Grant and Mitch Tucker. And we also have Rachel Lapin. And in the background, Steph and Kat, would you mind putting yourselves up on screen as well if you can? There we go. Steph Galloway, and there's Kat Williams. And all of these people are the people that prop me up and put me in front of you in so many different ways. And if it weren't for all of them, this wouldn't be happening. So Cheryl Mcdonald is the bulwark of our organization. She's the one that makes sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be and knows what they're supposed to know. Jennifer Grant is my fellow Gemini and my twin sister of different mothers. I can't wait to meet her in person, by the way. And Rachel Lapin is our Calderdale Cultural Destinations liaison. She was a full-time ALBW volunteer until she took the job with Calderdale Cultural Destinations. And she's still helping us out in the proper way with Calderdale as we make our arrangements. And we do hope that she'll be back with ALBW in the future full-time. And then there's the lovely Mitch Tucker, who you all saw last week on the Blister Sisters. And she's the one that's constantly putting out those wonderful memes. So again, all of you wonderful, wonderful ladies, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Couldn't do it without you. And now,
you're welcome.
Free to go.
Okay. Bye. See you later.
See you later. Now, in the meantime, while I was building my little community, there were a ton of other communities that sprang up surrounding Gentleman Jack, and you're aware of most of them. There was the Gentleman Jack fans, which continued to grow, and as I said, is now up to 10,000. There's Shivden After Dark, which is a really active fan site that I happen to spend a lot of time on myself. Then we have In Search of Ann Walker, and we've had Diane Halford and her group on here before. You know exactly the wonderful kind of work that they're doing in holding up the Ann Walker side of this entire equation, and I couldn't thank them more for the work that they're putting in over there. Then we have the Code Breakers, that amazing group of women or people. I can't just keep using the word women. I completely realize that, but I'm old school. What can I say? The Analyst Code Breakers that have taken on the project of actually transcribing what was left of the diaries to be transcribed. And that has been no small task, and they all need to be applauded for that. There's also the Anlister researchers, the people that are digging into all sorts of figures and facts, etc., about Anne. There's Packed with Potential. And if you haven't been to their website, I highly suggest that you get over there. Packed with Potential is a group of Ann Lister fans who have been spending a lot of time digging into every single corner of the diaries and every single corner of Ann Lister's life. And it's really a fascinating read. And then, of course, the Analyst Society, which has come about in the last several months. That's the academic society, the institutional academic society that focuses in on that level of research of Ann Lister. You'll be hearing more about that society as we go on. There's some expansion that's happening to it, and just a really great organization led by Lori Shannon, who has become a great friend of mine, and I couldn't be happier about that. So we have all of these communities that have sprung up all over the place, and the intention of Ann Lister Birthday Week, just to be clear, is to be the Switzerland of all of those. My goal is really to take all of these different groups and bring them together into one united community in Halifax, where we can all join with one another in the Minster, in Shivden Hall, on the streets of Halifax, really experiencing what it feels like to be in Ann Lister's home, in Ann Lister's hometown, and in the Minster where she was baptized and buried. Now, let's talk about dates. None of you will be surprised to hear the next few things that I say. My team and I have spent countless hours in conversation and reading everything we could, watching everything that we could, taking in every bit of news that we could. And of course, that event that we had to cancel in the first year and move into 2021 was originally supposed to be in April of 2021. Then we moved it to July of 2021, fully believing that we were going to be in great shape to hold this event, that people would be able to come from wherever they wanted to. Most importantly, that Halifax would be ready for us. We have to keep in mind that when we bring in as many people as we bring in, that community has to be ready to accept a bunch of people from all over into their homes. And we have to be ready to be there for them, vaccinated, masked, whatever it takes. So having watched all the news over the last several months, we have made the decision to change the date of ALBW. And I have to tell you that as I report this to you, no one is more affected by this than me. This is a dream of mine. At this point in my life, those kinds of dreams have a limited amount of opportunity to happen. And I will do everything I can to make it happen. I promise you that. So, the new date for Ann Lister Birthday Week is April 1st through April 9th of 2022. And at that time, we will bring together everyone who's concerned about or involved with or fascinated by the history of Ann Lister, the mystery of Ann Lister, discovering Ann Lister, but most of all, the community of Ann Lister. There's a lot of events that you can go to, There's a lot of online events you can go to, but there are none like this that will put you firmly in the community of people like you in that place. Now, let's talk about something a little bit more fun before we get to the question and answers. What exactly is going to be happening at ALBW? Well, let me just pull up a piece of paper here. That is what an ALBW, an Analyster Birthday Week schedule looks like on our planning boards. And every single one of those blocks and colors are different opportunities for you to learn, discover, throw yourself into, connect with, whatever you want to do with Ann Lister and the people who love her. All right, now, so in the evening, we have some great events lined up. Once again, we'll have Jill Liddington and Helena Whitbread in the Minster talking to us about who was the real Ann Lister. I am so delighted to have them coming back. We also will be having David Glover and Patricia Hughes. We will also have the one and only Sally Wainwright. And Sally, if you happen to be watching, let me just say this about Sally. Sally has done more for Ann Lister than anybody in the face of history, not only with Gentleman Jack, but there's so much that she's doing in the background, even now, in terms of, helping organize the Ann Lister Society, the whole opportunity to get a new college at York University named for Ann Lister. There's just tons of things going on, and she continues to be supportive of ALBW by showing up for it, and I want to thank her for that. So we also have O'Hooley and Tito are going to be joining us. There they are. Very fun. And the amazing Amanda Walgrove will be coming in all of her forms. So it makes me laugh just to see her. And then also in the daytime, we have several different book signing events coming up. We'll have a special one with Jill Liddington. We'll have a special one with Helena Whitbread. We hope to have one with Ann Choma. And I'll also be reaching out to Angela Clare over at Shivden Hall to see if she'd like to sign a few copies of her Moss Hut book. And we're hoping to have those at Sarah's Book Corner at the bookstore. We like to support the community. Also, we have a number of other events that are going on. Little special get-togethers. Will be at the Alibi Bar for one of those. The Alibi Bar was the Rawson's Bank. And this room that you're looking at is the salon in which Ann Lister and the Rawsons would have met. This is where their offices were. And all of that gorgeous plaster work is still there. We also have... one of the things I'm most excited about is we're going to be spending an entire day dedicated to Ann Walker in the midst of Ann Lister Birthday Week. And that's going to include some really special events. We have several tours that will take you up to Lightcliff Cemetery. We have arranged with Calderdale Heritage Walks, with Ian Phillip, who's also involved with Calderdale Heritage Walks, but through the auspices of Friends of Friendless Churches. He's going to arrange to have the tower open. So you'll be able to see Ann Lister's memorial plaque. You'll also be able to see where she's buried and the other plaques that are in the tower. That tour will also focus on a presentation across the way at the Sun Country Inn, which is a tavern that was originally owned by the Walkers. And it will also take you to Shivden Hall. One of the things I want to say about Shivden Hall during that weekend is this is being held on the weekend of Ann Lister's birthday. So it's going to be quite busy. And so I would highly recommend that you sign up for one of the tours, because we will have specific times available that you'll be guaranteed to get into the hall. For any of you who were there for Ann Lister Week back in 2019, you may remember the line that stretched around the front garden of people waiting to get in on that day. We also have a number of different tours that'll be going on, walking tours. We're hoping to put together something special with the archives to get them to reprise the program that they do on the care of the diaries. There's a bunch of other stuff in the works. And you'll be seeing that as we put the schedule up. The other thing that we have that's going to be fun for you that are coming is we have 2 special groups that we've set up. One is our ALBW solos. So if you're sitting out there thinking, gee, I'd really like to come, but I'm shy and I don't feel comfortable going into a group, we're going to take really good care of you. You have your own place to hang out, and you've got a group of people that are going to be waiting for you. And the same thing for what we call our ALBW Owls, which are our older, wiser lesbians. There you go. The Owls group will also have a place to hang out, get together, etc. And one of the other fun things about ALBW is that we're also going to be hosting some other things sort of within the event itself. One of those things is we've talked with Pack with Potential about the possibility of having one of their little mini conferences going on. So we're going to be dedicating a room for a day for them. More to come on that as those plans come together. And also we will be nesting in ALBW the very first in-person meeting of the Analyst Society, in which Lori Shannon will be presenting a conference that, well, let me put it this way. Lori did some outreach not too long ago out to the academic world to see if she might be able to gather some papers to put at the first conference. She was hoping to get 2 or 3. She currently has 20, and there's more coming in. So you'll have an opportunity to sit in on that. It's not closed to the public. You will be able to hear some really interesting analysis of Ann Lister and Walker, the times that they lived in, et cetera. So please feel free to come. From the Shivden After Dark world, I hope that Alex Holcomb is still going to come to give one of her lectures, and you at Shivden After Dark will be familiar with what that's all about. And then with the Blister Sisters, if you remember from last week, they're in the midst of filming a documentary, and we hope to be able to show you that documentary at that time. And of course, that all depends on whether or not they're actually able to climb Mount Vignemall in August, because again, they have to worry about COVID as much as we do. So Ann Walker Footsteps are some of the tours. That's going to include a really, really great tour of Halifax and all of the places that were familiar to Ann Walker, or excuse me, to Ann Lister, well, Ann Walker as well. This is one of our Blue Badge guides. If you're not from the UK, a Blue Badge guide is the highest rated guide that they have in their country. That was the Peace Hall she was with. This building on the left that you're looking at is the Lit Phil Society, the Literary and Philosophical Society that Ann Lister joined early on. On the right, we have Hope Hall, which is where Christopher Rawson lived. And we're actually going to be having a presentation there one night with Jill Liddington. We'll also be visiting the library. You'll also see the diaries. And there they are. And I have to tell you, it's a pretty amazing feeling to be able to see those pages. So we're excited about that. We have some really interesting tours of the Halifax Minster. So you'll be able to come in and hear all of those historical stories that tie in with the Minster, where Ann Lister was baptized and buried. That is the baptismal font right there that she was baptized in. And you'll be able to hear a lot about Ann through that tour. Of course, you'll be able to see her headstone. Hopefully, maybe we'll have a little progress on knowing where she's actually buried, because as most of you know, that is still a little bit of a mystery. And the other thing I'm really excited about is, once again, Calderdale Heritage Walks has agreed to run some walks for us during Ann Lister Birthday Week. I also want you to know that if you are a UK resident, because I have a sneaking suspicion the UK may still be closed to people coming in from the outside at the July date that we had originally planned on. But Calderdale Heritage Walks does have a selection of walks that are going to be happening in July of 2020 if you're able to get to Halifax during that time. We just don't know if you will be able to. And then, of course, Shivden Hall. And most of you are very familiar with what that looks like from all the pictures that have been posted online. But there it is. There's the interior. There's the Shivden lion, or excuse me, the Lister lion. That's the bed in the Red Room, which is where Anne Walker stayed, of course, and where she left. Well, she didn't really leave from that. We know that now. And the flag that you saw there was Anne Lister's hatchment, which was the banner that was put up at her death. That was custom in Halifax. We have a couple of other tours that I think you'll really enjoy. We will be doing half-day tours to Sutton Park. Sutton Park is the home was the stand-in for Crow Nest. And you'll be able to tour that. You'll be able to see the rooms where those scenes were filmed in, including the bedrooms. And that's pretty exciting. And then, of course, we also have, and this is, I'm really pleased with this, we have our full day tour to York. That will include a 3-hour tour with a Blue Badge guide. It will also include a tour of Goodram Gate, where Anne and Anne took their vows. So all of those things will be led, as I said, by a tour guide. You'll have plenty of time to take in the sights and to sit in that pew. That's the middle pew in that picture, where Saran Jones and Sophie Rundle sat during that. And then you'll also get to see the assembly rooms. And the assembly rooms, of course, is where they held dances and evenings of entertainment that Anne Lister took part in with Mariana Belcom, Tib Norcliffe, and all of her friends in York. So you'll get a chance to see that as well. So that's... oh, wait, there's one more. Don't want to leave this one behind. We'll also have a full coach tour available to take you over to Plas Newydd to see the home of the ladies of Llangollen. Many of you who have read the diaries know that Anne Lister did visit them there and kept her private life secret from them, which is always very interesting. And we will also be running a half-day tour over to the Bronte Parsonage, which is only 12 miles away from Halifax. So those of you who are Bronte fans, you'll have an opportunity to go up there and also see Hebden Bridge. Finally, we have a number of venues that we're going to be using in Halifax for all of this that's going on. It's spread all across town. We'll have the Halifax Minster, the Theatres Square Chapel, a couple of rooms at the Peace Hall. We'll be using the Victoria Theatre for Sally's night because she always draws a lot of people. And then we have the entire Dean Clough complex, which is one of the old woolen mills in Halifax. It's been converted to restaurants and theaters, et cetera. That's going to be sort of our main space where we'll be hanging out in the evening. We have a couple of dances planned. We have a couple of DJs coming in, and we also have Julie Jepson, who many of you in the UK know from her comedy. So we're looking forward to that. So that's my wrap up on everything that's going on with ALBW. So why don't we take a few questions now? Let me check here and see what I have on my magic screen. Okay, from Terry Tribble. Will there be an opportunity to catch up with ALBW 2022 online for those unable to attend in person? Wow, what an amazingly good question. We are going to attempt to do some live streaming. We won't be able to do all of it, obviously, because we just don't have the technology for that. But stay tuned. We will have a couple of those events set up specially to live stream. There will be a charge for that. It'll be minimal, just like everything else at ALBW. This has never been set up to be a profit-based endeavor. It's a community-based endeavor, but we do have to cover our costs, so be aware. So yes, Terry, we are going to try to live stream some of that. This is from Jillian James. Will ALBW be an annual event? Well, I hope to God the cancellation of ALBW is not an annual event. Let me start by saying that. And then, yes, it absolutely is our desire to have ALBW become an annual event held every year right around the time of Anne Lister's birthday. Sometimes we can't get there right on Anne Lister's birthday. For example, This year, 2021, Easter falls on Ann Lister's birthday, so there was no way we could get into the Minster. But whenever it's possible, it'll be held on her birthday. This is from Adria Hirsch. Will there be one centralized place where we can learn of all the events, dates, times, and where to go to get tickets or make reservations? Yes, actually, there's two places. First of all, there is the Facebook page, Ann Lister Birthday Week. That is a page as opposed to a group. And all of our information will be posted there as we get closer to the event. Right now, we list the ALBW live streams, et cetera, that are up there. But all the information about the actual event will appear on that page. And it will also cross over into ALBW chat. So if there's any of you that are listening that aren't familiar with those two Facebook pages, I would highly recommend that you join up with ALBW chat, because that's where a lot of the conversation goes on about what's going to be happening and when. And it gives you an opportunity to meet people before you get over there. Again, it will also be on the ALBW page. So yes, and the tickets, when they do go up for sale, they'll go up for sale at Eventbrite once again, which is the online service that we used the last time. By the way, I want to share with you that when we put those tickets up for sale in the fall of 2019, I'd never used Eventbrite before. I was sitting there watching my laptop as the tickets started to go on sale because I needed to make sure that nothing crashed. I was hoping that I could sell 200 tickets because that's what it would have taken for me to cover the cost of the Minster. And I was hoping that that might happen during that week. I had 900 tickets total for sale. They sold out in 20 minutes. It was like watching a landslide. It was one of the most amazing events of my life. And my life has been pretty amazing, I have to share with you. So the other important announcement, those of you who are watching, who were part of the original group who purchased tickets for that first ALBW and to whom we refunded all of your money, you will be first in line. You will have the opportunity to come back and buy tickets before they go on sale to the general mass audience. So do take advantage of that. Just for those of you that are out there thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to get a chance to get anything. We have added many events since that last time. So not to worry, you'll be able to get in. Let's see. This is from Jane Kendall. Will there be an opportunity for the code breakers to meet with one another? Absolutely. I've been talking with Steph Galloway about that, and she's told me that she believes that there's something that is being organized already. We're looking into that. If it hasn't been organized already, we will absolutely be organizing it for you. We want all of the communities that have been out there that are planning on getting to Halifax to have the opportunity to get together and spend time with one another and meet each other in real life, in person. So not to worry about that. Will extra volunteers be needed for ALBW? Can I become involved and help out anyway? Yes, you can. Right now, we are still in the planning part, and we're in pretty good shape there. Once we get that, let me just find that again. Once we get that schedule all worked out, we will have plenty of opportunity for people to help out in a number of different ways. And you even get a special pass and a special jacket. So please let me know if you're interested, and I'll let you know if we need you. Okay. This is from Trish Kula. For 2020, there was talk about an on-off bus around Halifax area to make all of the sites more accessible. Is that still in the plans? We are looking into that right now. Again, yes, we had planned on trying to do that, and we are still planning on trying to do that. So I'd say that the chances are probably 90% that we will have a shuttle bus that will take you from place to place. Just stay tuned on that. We're working on it, as I said. So those are the questions that we've had so far. And wait a minute, there is something else coming up here. In the meantime, there was one thing that I did want to add when I was talking about ALBW and the things that have happened from that, and especially Sally Wainwright. If it hadn't been for Sally Wainwright, you probably wouldn't be watching me right now. The whole reason that ALBW Live came about was when we had to cancel the 2020 event. About 2 days after we canceled, Sally reached out to me via email, and she said, I feel so bad for you and your team for all the work that you've put in. Might you be interested in interviewing me and making that live? Well, as you may all be familiar, we wound up interviewing everybody that we were supposed to have at ALBW that year, and then just decided to carry on with it because, well, it's fun. So yes, there will be more. Cheryl, I know you're typing. I'm watching. This is how we do this. I think you've already seen this. She sends it to me on my phone. All right. So let us. We're actually at the end of our questions. So again, the dates for Analyst Birthday Week are April 2 through 9. I said April 1 through 9 because I'm not sure when you might want to come in. That's actually a Friday, but the events themselves start on the 2nd and the conference ends on the 9th. So in between there is where all the rest of the events are. So I just want to close by saying, with everything else that I've been talking to you about, I do hope that you're going to join me for Analyst Birthday Week. And I want you to know this. I'm not asking you to come to an event. I'm not asking you to come take a tour. I'm inviting you to this place to be surrounded by this community and to be transformed. See you in Halifax. And don't forget to wear your masks so you can get to Halifax.